So the left-hand one here now, kind of, as we can see as your before, the movement of that golf club now is coming more from your wrist, okay? There's not really much torso movement at all. And when you start using your arms and your hands first and not much torso, when you start turning now, you'll find the body's not really shifting much weight onto the trail foot. So we're not getting back here. We're very sort of static with the turn, a little bit collapsed there with the arms and the hands, okay? And not really taking a full movement, okay? Now as you come back to the golf ball, because you're now to try and start the downswing almost from a static spot, your speed your arms is putting in, your head now is going the other way, yeah? There's no movement really this way towards target, which means that club's going to flip over, hit it left. Now, what you kind of incorporate into that was to try and square the club face up by kind of cupping the wrist, or in some way, sometimes shoving out to the right to do something to try and start it more in that direction. What I want you to try and feel is almost like a little movement to that right side as we go back, so sort of a shift over to this right side, and as we start getting to the top of the back, so you can sort of see a bit more of a fuller turn as the club starts going to here now, then we would start recentering, okay? You start doing it about now. So it looks, oh, it's way late, but in reality that's such a quick movement from where you are to about here to there. It doesn't take a lot to try and just add that into game. You're getting that toward the last one, especially 199, 6 yards offline. Yeah, more of them, please. All right, so just think almost a little bit of a kind of bump and a shift this way to sort of trigger the start of the backswing, okay? As you start moving to the top of the backswing, about sort of 2/3 back, 3/4, we then start this kind of recentering, okay? Which if you saw in that video I was showing you there, moving into kind of like an imaginary wall here on that left side. So you're starting to move before that club starts coming down. You kind of get the club static here, and then we start moving with the club as it comes down. That movement needs to be kind of blended into one, so we're moving, and as the club starts reaching the top of his backswing, we're getting up to about, say, 3/4. As the club then gets there, we're now shifting and moving to trigger the downswing, and that's going to get you into that position we want to try and get to more for impact, where most of your weight now is going to be favouring on there's impact just there, a bit after that, okay? Ooh, come back, there you go. Just about there, where the weight now is favouring more on this foot. This leg's starting to come in, you see now, okay? If I clear all these lines out of the way, we'll see a bit clearer, okay? You can see now you're a little bit more on this front foot with this swing here now, whereas this one leaning back a little bit more as we go through the shot, leaning back even further as we go through the shot there now. You're starting to move a bit more onto that right foot, okay? This foot now is just about off the ground, where that one's pretty much flat on the ground, okay? And that's something I think you'll start incorporating more. We think if we look at this movement between here from lesson one way back when, this would stay flat as a pancake and this would actually be off the ground, wouldn't it? And with your iron, you'd pull them way left. Now, a lot of that was you trying to create power and trying to stop the golf ball curving left to right. So you'd be leaning back, trying to hit it to the right, so to the left. Your weight would be hanging back on your right, and you'd finish kind of like this, yeah? That, I would say, for the most part, is gone now, okay? But we're going to keep that foot flatter by moving into to the left as we get the top. So you can almost look at the shadow, sort of swing the top of the backswing, and almost like a little bump. So as you start the backswing up here now, there's that little bump, okay? So you get the club to about 2/3 as you're shifting, and then boom, swing the top. And try and get a little rhythm with that as you're doing it, okay? So you just want that trigger now, the downswing, or the feeling of the downswing, should we say, actually starts around there. As the club continues to go back, you'll be moving to the left. Now, you couldn't do that if you weren't turning at all, because you have to try and complete the backswing. If you're backswing on this left-hand one here now, if you've only got your shoulders to here now, you can't recenter now. You haven't turned. You have to keep going on to try and make sure the backswing is completed. Just almost having the golf swing as being, and then for you very much sort of this side and that side, as opposed to just a blended circle. Yeah, we want to try and get that movement to be a little bit more kind of all incorporated as one. Yeah, that kind of makes sense there with that movement. Yeah, so we want to be on that left side. I want to shift to that left side as we said when we come down, but you need to start doing that a little bit earlier. By doing that, you have to turn a little bit earlier, or turn something, yeah. All right, so, and that's going to reduce that pull, or that cut across, or that slice. So turn the torso first as we get to the top of the backswing about here. Now at this point when you're sort of turning, now the lower half should be just starting to bump to that left side, and just sort of feel that kind of, like I say, if you're throwing a ball, I think almost instinctively, if you're throwing a ball, your arm would be getting there. There'd be a little bit of, you wouldn't throw a ball and go, stop, what do I do now? You just shift and then throw it. Yeah, it'd be a blended move from in one go, yeah? Okay, mate? Right.